SWEGTA! So I recently saw a video by YouTube user and Left 4 Dead speedrunner WaifuRuns called Left 4 Dead 2's Insanely Lucky Speedrun World Record, and it gave me an idea for this video. So before we begin, big props to WaifuRuns for crafting an interesting and well-explained rundown on Charlistick's Left 4 Dead 2 speedrun. Today we'll be combing over the current world record for Bully Scholarship Edition Any Percent by Cliques. I'll be putting my own spin on this video idea by including an RNG scorecard. If we get lucky, then it's an Allen, and if it's bad luck, it's a Pete Man. Starting a fresh game, Jimmy gets dropped off at Bullworth Academy. We make our way to the principal's office, skip a cutscene, and then endure an unskippable mini cutscene. After that, we navigate to the boys' dorm. This is typically where a lot of speedrunners will reset, depending on the AI and randomly chosen humiliation move. Fighting Wade is easy because he can't damage you, but he will randomly block your punches, causing you significant time loss. Jimmy will also sometimes bug out and freeze up for a few seconds when attempting the humiliation move. Wade kept the blocking to a minimum, and Jimmy played the shortest of all three humiliation moves. So right off the bat, we have our first Allen. As soon as we skip the introduction cutscene for Gary, we punch him to provoke him into hitting us, allowing us to skip the animation Jimmy plays when using the soda machine. Unfortunately, he locked Jimmy into a bugged out grappling animation, which roughly takes about the same amount of time as the soda machine animation. Thus, we get our first Pete Man. After changing into the school uniform, Cliques saves the game in one slot and loads a different save. This is so that we can enable a dialogue disabling glitch that will come into play throughout different parts of the run. Basically, the way this works is by starting the future Street Racer arcade race minigame, and whilst inside the minigame, you load another save. The script for the arcade race minigame prevents voice lines from playing, and since Rockstar forgot to re-enable it when loading a save, we can jump back into the previous save Cliques just made and continue the speedrun without needing to wait for voice lines to be over during unskippable mini cutscenes. Exiting the dorm, we get a somewhat good prefect spawn. What speedrunners will do here is intentionally get busted so that they respawn closer to the mission marker. In terms of luck, I wouldn't call this one good or bad, so I'm not gonna give it a score. Next up, we have This Is Your School. One of the most annoying parts about this mission is how often students will drop banana peels on the floor. Aside from that, it's pretty straightforward. You break into Russell's locker, hide in a trash can, get Eunice back her chocolates, and then head to the cafeteria to skip another cutscene. After completing the mission, we get a rundown of the in-game clock and the passage of time. Up until this point, time has been frozen, but it now becomes crucial to manage and skip time accordingly. Some missions will only be available at certain times, and if you take too long during chapter 1, then it can easily ruin the momentum of a speedrun. Upon completing chemistry 1, we unlock the firecracker. You then chuck one on the floor and take off half of Jimmy's health by jumping over it right as it explodes. Starting the next mission, you chase after Davis, jump to prevent Wade from grabbing or stun-locking you, and hope that the other bullies don't bother you. Quickly picking up a brick, throwing it at Davis, followed by a firecracker, we complete the mission and unlock the slingshot. The bullies only landed one single hit on Jimmy, so I'll give this one an Allen. After that, we throw a firecracker on the ground and jump over it, causing a knockout warp and respawn outside the school's main building. Upon returning to the boys' dorm, we make some more firecrackers, save and load the game, and then make some additional firecrackers. The next mission is easily one of the most difficult sections of the speedrun. You snipe some windows, run to the football field, grab onto this tree, let go, and move to a very specific spot. This is to prevent Mr. Burton from seeing you, resulting in an automatic mission fail. Using the firecrackers, Cliques knocks out as many jocks as possible. He then slingshots the remaining two and swiftly runs back to the football field. Here, he jumps on a firecracker, waits for just the right time based on the music cue, and then jumps over another firecracker. Timing is key, because if you knock yourself out too soon, then the mission will go from you passed to you failed. Save Algae at the library is usually easy for anyone experienced in speedrunning this game. You slingshot Davis, run past Troy and Wade, and get to the bathroom upstairs in the main building. Cliques then fires a pebble at Eunice and Pedro, causing them to run out of the bathroom and get out of the way before Algae runs inside one of the stalls. He takes out Trent and Troy and repeatedly takes fall damage for an upcoming knockout warp. Due to the dialogue glitch, we skip one of Algae's voice lines and meet him by the locker and pass the mission. Once we get back to the dorm, an errand tutorial will begin. Quickly jumping in and out of this nearby trash can, we position Jimmy closer to the exit. You can actually softlock the game by doing this, though this is pretty rare. He delivers the package to Beatrice and then runs back to the dorm. You'll notice that he jumps towards Beatrice when doing this. This is because there's a very frame-perfect animation skip you can do, though sadly he didn't get it this time. Just like the trash can thing, this is also very rare. So seeing as he didn't get either one, I'm not gonna assign any points. A Little Help is arguably one of the easiest missions throughout the whole run. All you gotta do is head to Mr. Grant's lair, skip a cutscene, run past all the greasers and hope they don't get in the way, pick up a transistor, deliver it to Mr. Grant, and perform 3 uppercuts. After the mission is over, you throw a firecracker against the school bus, and then you knock out Warp back to the infirmary. Up next, we have Defend Bucky. When reaching Bucky at the auto shop, you throw a firecracker at Wade and Davis, knocking them both out. You then get on top of this dumpster, slingshot Trent, run past the wall, and take out Troy. Bucky gets his science project, you finish off the remaining bullies, and unlock the skateboard. Mission complete. Once that's done, we skateboard to the girls' dorm. Fun fact, there used to be a really annoying glitch that would randomly occur after the intro cutscene for this mission, causing a 50-50 chance of the loading time either being a few seconds or twice as long. Thanks to Nixkis himself, this has since been patched. After getting to the gym, you have a lockpicking minigame you need to complete. The directions of the lockpicking are random, and sometimes the game, apropos of nothing, will decide that you've done it wrong, causing it to reset. Fortunately, this didn't happen, so again, I'm gonna give this one an Allen. He then throws a stink bomb at the wall near Seth, resulting in the prefect getting stunned and creating enough distance between Jimmy and the prefect where Seth is not gonna teleport alongside Jimmy when exiting the gym. We skate back to the dorm, kiss Beatrice, and the mission ends. Getting back to the school hallways, we now have, in my opinion, the best skip in the whole game. The candidate. All you have to do is get to the auditorium, watch a few seconds of a mini cutscene, and then the mission ends. The way this mission is scripted is to have Ernest play a large number of lengthy voice lines. The game checks if a voice line has stopped playing, and then moves on to the next voice line. After the last one, the mission concludes. And after unlocking the super slingshot, Nixkis heads back to the dorm, saves the game, loads another save, enters and then exits the arcade race minigame, thus restoring dialogue, and jumps back into the last save. This is to prevent the game from soft locking during the Chapter 2 transition scene. Halloween begins by accepting an errand by Pedro. We put a kick me sign on a randomly spawned student, accept another errand, egg some students, accept another errand, trip another student with a bag of marbles, accept another errand, cause 3 students to smell stink bomb fumes, accept a final errand, and throw itching powder on 3 students. We then slingshot a nearby girl or small child to get a maximum wanted level and busted warp back to the dorm. Getting a good time on this mission not only relies on good execution, but also good ped spawns. This is all randomized, and seeing as how all the spawns were damn near perfect, I'm gonna give this one an Allen. After hitting the hay and waking up, we skate to the school's parking lot. We take out the 3 bullies and wait for Gary to show up and initiate a voice line, and then we skip said voice line by slingshotting him. During the basement section, it's crucial that you get a wooden plank for the Russell boss fight. There is always a small risk that you're not gonna find one, though luckily for Nixkis, he not only got a wooden plank, but also firecrackers right at the beginning, allowing him to save time on hitting the switches by throwing firecrackers at them. And speaking of time, make sure you complete this mission by 8:45 AM. Doing so past 8:45 will result in a less optimal class schedule. And by the way, on occasion, we will be using classes to skip time. Once he's navigated the basement puzzles, he drops the plank, slingshots Gary, and immediately picks up the plank to preclude the game from removing it when the boss fight begins. The Russell fight ended up being perfect, consisting of all plank hits landing before it broke. The fight in total took less than 18 seconds, and combining this with the solid luck Nixkis had with the firecracker and plank spawns, I'll give this mission a well-deserved Allen. And so begins Chapter 2. The first thing Nixkis does is enable the dialogue glitch by again saving, loading another save, starting the arcade race minigame, and loading back into the save he just made. Now on to Hattrick vs. Galloway. He collects all 3 bottles and meets up with Miss Phillips in the parking lot. Sometimes she'll freeze up for a few seconds when you give her the bottles, but she didn't do it this time, so yeah, that's an Allen. We then get busted and teleport to art class, exit out of the minigame, and make our way to the next mission. The reason we do this is to skip time so that we don't have to stand around waiting for the carnival date mission to become available later. But before we do that, we have some shopping to do. Edna wants us to head into town and pick up 3 items. Laundry, some expired discount meat, and a razor. While we're at Yum Yum Market, we make sure to buy a box of chocolates, a bouquet of flowers, and some eggs. These are all items you'll need for later missions. Upon giving Edna her stuff, she thankfully did not freeze up like Miss Phillips sometimes does. So again, that's another Allen. Ugh, what the fuck? In the mission movie tickets, you have to, without using violence, mind you, repel all the people standing in line ahead of Pinky. Stealing Gord's bike will cause them to chase after you, to which Lola reacts by running away for some reason. Gord runs after her. You then have to give Eunice some chocolates, take her to a shady alleyway, she devours your soul, and then you approach a couple of gay boys. Kirby runs off crying, Trent runs after, and we're done. This is a good example of how useful the dialogue glitch really is. Normally, it would take about 33 seconds for the mission to fade out, but here it only took circa 12. Heading to Aquaberry, we pick up an Aquaberry sweater. Some people prefer the vest, though I can rest easy at night knowing that all of those people are doomed to eternal damnation. Prep Challenge is the only click challenge that is mandatory if you want to progress. It's also completely broken. In Scholarship Edition, the game assigns 2 buttons to punch. One of them, typically X or Shift, works as intended, but if you use the alternate button, then the AI will be unable to block any of your punches. They can, however, dodge and punch. Overall, the opponents didn't put up as much of a fight as they normally do, so I'll give this one an Allen. Once all 3 preps have been defeated, you unlock the beach clubhouse. Now here's an interesting fact. The script used for all the click challenges always re-enables speech at the end, so as a result, the dialogue glitch is now gone. We run back inside the gym and begin the mission The Eggs. When reaching Tad's yard, Nixkis gets off the bike right before he hits a cutscene trigger. This is to prevent the game from initiating a longer loading screen. You slingshot Justin, get the key, use it on the gate, and leave the premises as the mission ends. Now we have a bit of time traveling to do. Every time you exit out of the go-kart race minigame, time advances by 1 hour. We do this a couple of times and then preemptively earn a minimum of 10 Carnival prize tickets. After this, you go to the bike shop, purchase the Aquaberry Cruiser, and begin Carnival Date. Because of the go-kart time skip, we're not gonna have to stand around waiting for 2 minutes for the mission marker to spawn. As soon as you get to the carnival, you just run inside the souvenir shop, buy a teddy bear, and leave. And thanks to the prep challenge disabling the dialogue glitch, we now get to listen to this.
Thanks for a great date, Jimmy.
Mother of God! What that person on your tape has is a medical disorder.
When the mission wraps up, you busted warp to Bullworth town and make your way back to the boys' dorm. As I said before, Prep Challenge re-enables voice lines when it ends. However, one thing that it doesn't do is re-enable sound effects categorized as ambiances. And this is why vehicles, like Jimmy's bike, are completely silent. Okay, so now we have Race the Veil. Beating the preps at a bike race is easy, but there is actually a small skip you can do. You can save a few seconds by taking this path, but the mission has a somewhat high risk of failing if you do this. So instead, Nixkis takes the intended path. Right before he enters the final marker, he jumps off the bike and runs into the marker. This skips a cheering animation and saves a few seconds. The preps have stolen Jimmy's trophy, and now you have to chase after them. The game designers wanted you and Ricky to fight all these preps, but really all you have to do is knock out 3 of them. Gord runs outside, and now all you have to do is grapple him and yoink back the trophy. Once that's done, we begin the mission Tad's house. The objective is to egg the Tad Spencer mansion. The walls are actually non-solid from the inside, so by throwing a couple of extra eggs at this angle, we can hit 2 of the triggers on the other side. Egg the remaining spots, and before the game even realizes, we've already made our way out of the yard and are now waiting for the final Chapter 2 mission to spawn. Travel to the boxing gym and beat up Biff using the aforementioned broken controls. And just like Prep Challenge, Biff can be annoying and stun-lock you, but this time he wasn't all that bad. Nixkis was also lucky enough to get a plank spawn as soon as the fight ended, and the plank did last throughout the entire Derby fight, so I'm gonna give this mission a solid Allen. Chapter 3 has begun, and it's time to bring back our old friend, the dialogue disabling glitch. Now this is where another interesting exploit comes into play. We begin by taking off half our health by making some firecrackers and jumping over one. Once biology class begins, we intentionally knock ourselves out and press Y about half a second after the knocked out text appears. Utilizing frame manipulation by quickly pausing and unpausing the game, we cause Jimmy to respawn at the infirmary at just the right time. He then clips through the ground during the biology class mini cutscene, thus causing him to fall into the void and get knocked out. And then, via some player coordinate mischief, he respawns at the infirmary in Bullworth town. Physics. So, now that the most confusing thing in existence is done, we time travel 4 hours into the future, busted warp to Bullworth town, commandeer a nearby bike, and start Balls of Snow. The mission is very basic. All you have to do is hit townies with snowballs. The challenge lies in not accidentally hitting any adults. This is almost guaranteed to result in Rudy getting busted by the cops, causing you to fail the mission. Seeing as no adults got snowballed, especially during this part, I'll go ahead and give Balls of Snow and Alan. Nixkies then enters and exits the final cut so that some handy-dandy firecrackers spawn near the Chinese restaurant. After a few seconds of waiting, the next mission appears. Igniting a couple firecrackers and holding them for a second each, he throws them at the two castle towers, resulting in the mission passing. He then takes a bus back to the academy, goes to bed, wakes up, and now the easiest mission in any Rockstar game ever begins. Busted warp to the principal's office, pick up a sweater, and that's it. Done. We then have one of the most hated missions in the entirety of Rockstar's catalog. There are no skips involved, no strats, no luck, just a tedious rhythm minigame. Because, you know, 2008. Subsequently, we perform a couple of go-kart time skips, busted warp to Bullworth town, and wait for the final Christmas mission to spawn. You pick up all the packages, bring them back to Satan, and then take some pictures of kids smiling. The mission wraps up, and we never see this character again. Johnny is being cheated on by Lola, and he wants you to get some photographic evidence of this. You have to take photos of Lola and Gord holding hands, exchanging a gift, and kissing. The spawn point for Lola and Gord is randomized. There are 3 different locations they can appear at, and Nixkies ended up getting a really bad one. This, combined with Gord getting hit by a car, cost him a substantial amount of time. Johnny also froze for about 10 seconds when receiving the photos, so I'll tack on another Pete Man. The following mission is bait. Johnny wants you to lure Gord to the skate park in New Coventry. Once the fight begins, you have to be careful not to get knocked out by the many firecrackers being thrown all over the place. Luckily, he made quick work of all the preps. Alan. Setting up for the mission wrong part of town, we leave a bike inside of the garage exit. You'll see why in a second. We take a bus to the academy, skate to the mission marker, take out the greasers hassling Cornelius, and then get on a bike inside Jimmy's garage. This teleports us back to the skate park, saving us some traveling time. Slingshot Algae to trigger the next sequence. At this point, you just have to fend off the greasers pursuing you until you reach the academy. You deliver Algae to the nerds and the mission ends. You then disable the audio glitch to prevent a soft lock later on. Grab a bike from the garage and initiate tagging. Jimmy bugged out for a few seconds when getting on the bike, so that's a Pete Man. After laying down the first tag, you have to buy some spray paint. Because of a widescreen glitch, the spray tags quickly disappear after you've tagged them. Greasers will often attack you if they see you tagging during this mission. Given that this never happened, I'm gonna assign an Alan. Okay, so now we have to beat Johnny in a bike race. Aside from the rubber banding, this mission is usually easy if you're familiar with the route and obstacles. Jump off the bike before the final checkpoint so you can again skip the cheering animation, and that's it. Mission complete. Because of the whole Lola cheating on Johnny thing, Johnny and his clique are now ghosting Lola, so it's up to you to sneak into their hideout and retrieve Lola's belongings. When you pick up Lola's laundry, it'll trigger a boss fight with Norton. Sometimes when you throw a firecracker at Norton, he'll swing the sledgehammer and accidentally destroy the wall. This saves about 2 to 3 seconds, so that's an Alan right there. One of the crates contains some firecrackers to help speed up the fight, so that's another Alan. Collect the remaining items, pick up some spray paint and firecrackers on the way back, and meet Lola at the underpass. Once Jimmy's done smooching Lola, you begin the final mission of Chapter 3, the Rumble. Pursue Peanut to the alleyway and take out the greasers. Johnny shows up, attacks you, everybody flees from the police, and you make your way to the junkyard. Pete appears out of nowhere. You take out the greasers blocking his path, and then project rock fragments at Johnny while Pete gets to the crane. Johnny can be really annoying during this section. The fastest way of defeating him is to get him off the bike, but he will on occasion refuse to go anywhere near the crane. I was initially gonna give this mission a Pete Man because of this, but if I'm gonna be honest, Johnny could have been way worse. So as far as this mission goes, it's not an Alan, but it's not quite a Pete Man either. Finally, the snow physics are gone and we're back to schoolyard antics. Our first mission is Stronghold Assault. Slingshot Thad, wait for him to get back up, slingshot him again, and he'll give you the keypad code. Fun fact, it's a reference to an old George Lucas film. You know, back when he actually cared. Nixki's movements and attacks in this segment are smooth and fast, dodging the nerds and even employing a stink bomb to distract them. Now comes the scariest part of any Bully Any% speedrun. He aims and throws a stink bomb at the center of this building. This prevents 2 nerds from going there and firing bottle rockets at him from a closer distance. What's terrifying about this section is the random accuracy of the nerds. Many good runs have ended here, so Nixkies plays it safe by wasting a couple of the nerds inside the building. Despite him taking some precaution, I'm gonna give him an Alan for not taking a ton of damage. It could have been so much worse. The ensuing boss fight can be challenging for anyone who hasn't done this mission before. The key to beating it as quickly as possible is to immediately throw a firecracker in between the 2 things. You then equip your slingshot, target the other two, whatever they are, and spam pebbles at them. Keep doing this until the fight is over. Following this, you knock out Warp to the infirmary, go inside the library, and start Funhouse Fun. We skateboard to the carnival, get inside the funhouse, and using the spud gun Ernest gives you at the end of the boss fight, you eliminate Kirby and Bo. To swiftly make our way past the Grim Reapers and avoid Jimmy getting stun-locked, we jump through all of the falling scythes. And right before we press the button to turn off the Grim Reapers, we make sure to have the firecrackers equipped, because during this mini cutscene, Rockstar forgot to turn off player controls, so we lock on and throw firecrackers at the jocks. We then locate the nerds and bring them to the next section of the level. And once you get to this part, you climb the ladder and then shoot and smack Lewis with the spud gun. Bo and Kirby have less health than Lewis, so you can just one-shot them as you run towards the remaining buttons. You remind the nerds that it's time to go and exit the funhouse. The end. Busted warp back into town and ride to the boys' dorm to get some sleep. And by the way, pick up a spud gun while you're there. As soon as you wake up, make your way to the observatory and initiate paparazzi. Go to the gym, take the first photo, and navigate to the school bus. Here you'll pick up some marbles that you're gonna need later. Head inside the girls' dorm via the main entrance and snipe this chair. Wait for Miss Peabody to run past you and climb your way up. You photograph some steam and then take the final picture. And at this point, you don't need to worry about Miss Peabody seeing you. You just run outside, hop on the bike, and meet up with Ernest at the library. We make our way back to the observatory and begin Defender of the Castle. Fighting off the jocks is a waste of time, so instead we'll drive the bike into the barricade, skipping this sequence. Get on the spud cannon, immediately let go, and then equip the slingshot and wait for the zombies to show up. Fully charging the slingshot, you aim for headshots, and right before the mission ends, you pick up one of the jocks' baseball bats. Now this is when the marbles we picked up at the school bus and the baseball bat come into play. Rush to the football field and trip the mascot using the bag of marbles, and then quickly pick up the baseball bat. After luring the mascot to the gym pool, swing, knock down, and batter away at the mascot. When the baseball bat breaks, switch over to the slingshot. Spud gun ammo is a complete waste here, so don't even bother. Instead, deliver a 3-punch combo, back off, and slingshot him in the face. Rinse and repeat. Similar to Wade at the beginning of the game, you have 3 possible humiliation moves. Nixki's ended up getting a longer one, so that's a Pete Man. Making up for the unethical stuff we did in paparazzi, it's time to remove some posters of questionable legal status. The first one is easy. You should have enough distance between you and the prefect where he's not gonna try to bust you. The second one is a bit riskier, though more often than not, you'll be left alone. Before skating to town, we drop by the boys' dorm and pick up some spray paint. This is so that we don't have to purchase any during the mission. Tag up the one near the old rundown cinema. Thad will show up and begin putting up new posters. If you're quick enough, then you can ruin all of the posters before he gets a chance to put up new ones. Now this is when Nixki's ran into a bit of a pickle. The jocks ogling the poster by Dragon Swing spawned way too close to the poster. Nixki's improvised by punching one of them, but this caused both to attack. This ended up costing him about 12 seconds.
Feels Pete, man.
What you need to do is begin the tagging, exit out of it, run inside Dragon's Wing, and then leave. Doing so causes the jock's AI to become docile. Cover up the final poster and then take the school bus back to the academy. You smooch Mandy, and then we can move on to the final Chapter 4 mission. Tony Hawk your way to the observatory and kick off the big game. We begin by doing a cute gay little dance and then skate our way to Bucky. You actually don't have to bother dancing for all the jocks, you can just rush past them. Plant the rigged football and bask in the cinematic beauty of this unskippable mini cutscene.
You should come this way. Interception!
Fatty wants us to create a sticky situation on the team benches, but there is a quicker way. You can hit these triggers by throwing bags of marbles on them. Nico Bellic gets stuck and we move on to the next nerd agent. Malvin tells you to spread marbles on the football field. If you throw them at the right time, you can hit 2 triggers simultaneously. Nixki's doesn't do that, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference time-wise. Meeting up with Agent Flylow, he tells us to spike the cooler. With P. Navigate to this side of the gym and go downstairs. What you need to do is wait for the jocks to see you, stop moving, and then quickly run around them. This will prevent them from seeing you pissing in the cooler. But if they attack you, then you can defuse the situation by dancing. The final nerd agent, Cornelius, wants us to flip a switch on the scoreboard. We do this, and so begins the jock boss fight. Thanks to Nixki's, the notorious big game crash has actually been fixed.
Think I'm tough? Time's even tougher.
Okay, so one useful strategy that I've tried so many times to communicate to other speedrunners is that if you run away from Ted when he's throwing the ball, then the ball will actually land farther away from him. So what you can do is run towards him when he throws it. This will cause the ball to land much closer to him. I actually made the mistake of telling a speedrunner about this during a run, and the runner kind of snapped at me. So yeah, pro tip, if you're guest commentating a speedrun, don't give the person running the game any advice. They have it all thought out, you're just gonna be annoying. Anyway, after you've taken out all the other jocks, you tackle Ted, and so concludes Chapter 4. We begin Chapter 5 by heading to the dorm and starting making a mark. Now before you get to City Hall, make sure to pick up these firecrackers. Right behind this dumpster, you'll also find a bag of marbles you're gonna need later. You tag up City Hall, the cops show up, and just like in real life, we negate fall damage by hitting the ground while using a skateboard. If you look closely, you'll see that he unequips the skateboard mid-fall. This is to remove a good chunk of Jimmy's health for an upcoming knockout warp. Skate past the pigs, snap a photo of the spray tag, and meet up with Pete at the boys' dorm. You then save the game and activate the dialogue glitch. Alright, now we're gonna do the mission Rats in the Library. Slingshot one of the rats, drop some marbles around it, run over to this side, dispose of all the rats by throwing marbles at them, and then slingshot any remaining rodents. Now the reason we slingshot this one is because the rats in the game are drawn to weapons and items. Dead rats are actually considered throwable weapons by the rat's AI, so essentially we used this one as bait. Considering how the rats mostly congregated in two places, and they didn't spread out all that much, I'll give this mission an Allen. Next up, we have the gym is burning. This one's pretty easy. All you have to do is extinguish all the fires, rescue the jocks, and run downstairs. The postal dude shows up, and that's it. Done. Now we're gonna head back into town, get our bike, and begin finding Johnny Vincent. Before leaving New Coventry, don't forget to pick up these firecrackers on the way. When you get inside the asylum, just stand up and sprint as fast as you can past the orderly. Once that's done, you get close enough to a pair of orderlies, you run away from them until you see one disappearing from the minimap. Run past the one guarding the doors. And when sneaking past the orderly sleeping on the couch, be careful not to get too close or make a bunch of noise. You open the doors, run slightly to the left to avoid getting detected, and then head to the cell hosting Johnny Vincent. Get to the showers, look at the minimap, and wait for the orderly to look away. As soon as he does this, you run inside and grab the uniform. You then go to the control room, hit the switch, and escape. By the way, remember that intentional damage we took when tagging City Hall? Throw a firecracker against the sign and knockout warp to the Blue Skies Infirmary. Now begins revenge on Mr. Burton. Take a bus to the academy and get on your bike in Bullworth town. At this point, there's a small chance of the bolt cutters automatically being put in your inventory due to a glitch. It didn't happen this time, so I'm gonna give this one a Pete man. He picks up the bolt cutters, rides over to Zoe, and gets off the bike right before he enters the mini cutscene. This prevents Jimmy from stopping for a few seconds to get off the bike. Using the firecrackers we picked up, we destroy the porta potties, return to Zoe, and then finish the mission. Get on the bike and begin Preppy's Vandalized. Ride to New Coventry, confront the greasers, and travel to Spencer's Shipping. Quickly navigate this path to avoid getting spotted. After snapping a photo of the townies putting rats in the crate, you run upstairs and leave via this exit. When you take the second picture at the docks, make sure you give the game at least half a second to register the photo being taken before you jump into the water. The reason for this is simple. If you do it too fast, then it's not gonna count and you'll automatically fail the mission when reaching the water. Skate over to the boxing gym and talk to the preps to wrap up the mission. Now you have to get back to Jimmy's dorm room, take some firecracker damage, make some more firecrackers, and wait for the mission Glass House to become available. Starting this mission will set the clock to 6:30 p.m. This allows us to save some time on waiting for bedtime. Before catching some Z's, we pick up and park our bike at the dorm for quick access. You go to bed, and as soon as you wake up, you busted warp to the principal's office. After getting expelled, you run back outside and begin busting in part 1. Now before you bang on Russell's garage door, make sure to get off the bike and leave it somewhere close by. This will prevent the game from despawning it. And on your way to the chem plant, you're gonna want to pick up these firecrackers again. You're also gonna need this spray paint. Again, get off your bike to ensure that it doesn't despawn. When busting in part 2 begins, you can quickly dispose of the two townies by slingshotting them in the face. Press the button and knock out one of the townies on the other side. This will more often than not cause the other townie to turn away from you, allowing you to sneak past, pick up some bottle rockets, and hit the button. Once you've hit the control room button and picked up some spud gun ammo, you take a right to this spot, wait for a townie to spawn, and then lead him over to the empty toxic waste barrel. By crouching and stuffing him inside of the barrel, we've successfully precluded Jimmy from being affected by gravity. Gain some altitude and make your way past the train card puzzle. Okay, so here you're gonna need to be quick and agile. Get past all the townies, hit hit the final button, and be careful, be really careful not to accidentally land on Zoe when you climb the fence. If this happens, then you fail the mission. Before the Omar confrontation happens, you need to equip your slingshot. When the mini cutscene ends, fully charge it and ping Omar in the head until he's finished and drops the key. Upon reaching the chem plant interior, make your way down as quickly as you can. You can jump during the crawling section to save a few seconds. And speaking of jumping, you then need to position yourself at this spot. Equip the skateboard, move forward, and jump. If you manage to pull it off, then you'll save yourself a lot of time. But if not, you're gonna get knocked out and have to redo this mission, so be careful. Once the Edgar boss fight begins, you run towards him and jump. This is to bypass the stun locking animation from getting hit. You then repeatedly hold down the attack and smack him with the shield until he takes off running. You can position yourself at just the right spot and angle to get past the steam and save a few seconds. Employing the same method we used on the school mascot, we can punch Edgar 3 times, back off, and slingshot him. Repeat this until he gets knocked out. And as soon as that happens, you chuck a firecracker against the wall and take some damage for an upcoming knockout warp. After the mission concludes, you throw a firecracker on the ground and knockout warp to the infirmary. Now comes the final mission of the game. Getting hit by a bulldozer is an instant knockout, so be careful not to get hit by one when you make your way to Wonder Meats. Get back on the bike you left outside the chem plant and go find Russell. When you find Russell, you can just ignore him and the cops and instead focus on getting to the final point of this section. Okay, here's a fun developer oversight. Right at the end of this mini cutscene, you can actually move Jimmy around and even attack Russell. Anyway, when Russell has gracefully opened the gate, you'll need to get on your bike. The first clique we're gonna take on are the nerds. When the mini cutscene ends, rush into them and throw a firecracker. It should take out all 3 of them in just a couple seconds. Head over to Harrington House and confront the preps. This is where the spud gun and bottle rockets we picked up will come in handy. I would strongly suggest taking out Darby first, given that he's the most aggressive and can do the most amount of damage. Russell did manage to knock out one of the preps on his own, so I'll give him an Allen for that. We take out the jocks using our spud gun and bottle rocket, and then we finish off the remaining faction inside the girls' dorm. You meet Edgar inside the school's main building. Edgar runs off to calm everybody down, Russell chases after some prefects, Gary shows up and challenges you to a 1v1, and thus we have final showdown. This part requires good player movement, and Gary can also be very frustrating. Depending on how the AI is feeling that day, he'll chuck bricks at you at random intervals. Nixkies ended up taking one to the face, so unfortunately that's a Pete man. Albeit a small one. Now this is where a pretty amazing strat comes into play. The split second the rooftop cutscene ends and you get back in game, you press jump, grapple Gary while he's on the ground, and just pummel him in the face until the boss fight ends. I don't know, I think it's beautiful. And there you have it. Bully Scholarship Edition, any percent completed in 2 hours and 9 minutes. Nixkies apparently dedicated this run to somebody named Josh.
Josh, turn these lights out!
I think it's amazing how much time these speedrunners have shaved off in the past 5 years. Speedrunners have managed to save over an hour by inventing new strats, utilizing glitches found by the community, optimizing the route, and last but not least, enduring so many randomized factors. Getting a good run, in my opinion, is a twofold thing. On one hand, pulling off all kinds of exploits and quickly finishing objectives is paramount. But on the other hand, even if you did everything perfectly, you would still at many points in the game be at the mercy of the AI, randomly chosen spawn points, NPCs and vehicles getting in the way, randomized weapon spawns, and so on. And speaking of luck, let's tally up the Allens and Petemen. I counted a total of 9 Petemen and 17 Allens. Somewhere around 70% good and 30% bad luck in my estimation. But again, a lot of this stuff comes down to knowing the route and being good at the game. So I do want to give Nixki some props for beating this game in 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 37 seconds. That's insane. And I also want to give a big thank you to my channel members for supporting my videos here on YouTube. Ben Struble, Jake Johnson, The Synth Scream Collective, Golden Stripes, Yippee, Green X, Riley Who, Wardog1220, Zarpies, Volts, BardyX Official, Double X2, Andre, Majin151, Nerds Need Love 2, Super Wired Cat, Rally Baked 24, Cartel 14, Benji Briggs, and Adam Lesnar. Welcome to the club, Adam. I appreciate you all, and I hope that all of you watching this video have an awesome day. And please give this video a like. It took quite a while to make, so I'd appreciate it. Peace out. If you're a fan of Bully and you want to meet some like-minded people, and you're above the age of 18, then feel free to join my Discord, link down below. And if you want to see some exclusive content here on my channel, then please consider becoming a channel member. Thanks for watching.